The sunset light poured down over the Sunset Valley Conservation Area, South Africa. Dr. William Bill Anderson, 83 years old, sat on the porch of his wooden cabin, listening as Dr. Reynolds confirmed what he already knew. His heart condition had reached its final stage. With a gentle smile, Bill declined the suggestion to return to the city hospital for treatment. He had spent 50 years of his life protecting the wildlife here. Now, as his final moments approached, he would not leave this place. He wanted to die where he had lived, among the calls of the leopard pack and the scent of the wild grasslands. When Dr. Reynolds's jeep drove away, Bill sat down in his wooden chair, his eyes following a hawk soaring across the sunset sky. On the cabin wall hung a faded photograph, himself much younger, holding an injured leopard cub in his arms. The star-shaped scar on the little leopard's forehead was an unmistakable identifying mark of Leo, the first leopard he had ever saved. Bill didn't know that from the edge of the forest, not far away, a pair of yellow eyes was watching him intently. Leo had returned, as if sensing something was about to happen to the man who had once saved his life. Each morning, Marcus and Jamal would visit the wooden cabin to learn from their elderly mentor. Marcus, 32 years old with a tall frame and sharp eyes, had been an outstanding student at the University of Cape Town before choosing the path of wildlife conservation. Jamal, 4 years younger, lean but resilient, had grown up in a village near the conservation area and could read animal tracks like reading an open book. They had worked under Bill's guidance for the past 5 years, not just as assistants but like the sons he had never had. Now, knowing their teachers' time was limited, every moment with Bill became more precious than ever. Bill's health deteriorated rapidly over the following week. Each morning he woke feeling heavier, breathing shorter, and chest pain growing more severe despite pain medication. Nurse Sarah visited twice a day to check his vital signs and adjust medication doses when necessary. Dr. Reynolds also came to visit and announced that he only had a few days left. This news didn't surprise Bill. He had felt it through each week beat of his heart. The notebook remained unfinished, with blank pages awaiting the secrets and subtle observations that only Bill possessed. His aged fingers now trembled too much to write, and his failing eyesight prevented him from reading what he had written. Marcus and Jamal took turns transcribing his dictation, but progress was too slow. Time seemed to be racing against them, and there was too much knowledge that needed to be preserved. Meanwhile, Leo's appearances became more frequent. The leopard no longer hid in the shadows of trees, but often sat under the large eucalyptus tree about 50 meters from the wooden cabin. He wasn't hunting or patrolling his territory as was typical leopard behavior. He simply sat there, occasionally moving to follow the sun for shade, but always keeping his eyes on the cabin. This behavior amazed all the conservation staff. There had never been any record of a wild leopard voluntarily staying near human habitation for such an extended period. One early morning, when mist still covered the plains, Jamal arrived early to relieve Marcus. Walking along the dirt path to the cabin, he suddenly stopped, stunned by the sight before him. Leo was lying under the ancient tree, only about 20 m from the cabin, closer than ever before. The leopard's yellow eyes seemed to be directed toward the window where Bill lay, his tail swaying gently in the morning air, his body relaxed but still. Alert! This had never happened before. Wild leopard voluntarily approaching human areas like this. Throughout Bill's 50-year career, he had never witnessed or recorded similar behavior. Jamal carefully stepped back, not wanting to frighten Leo or make him feel threatened. He took out his phone to call Marcus, his voice lowered but unable to hide his excitement. Both discussed this strange phenomenon, trying to find a reasonable explanation. In the small room, Bill woke after a difficult night. Each breath was now an effort, and the constant chest pain reminded him of his dwindling time. His eyes turned toward the window where dawn light was creeping through the gaps in the old curtains. He weakly gestured that he wanted to look outside, and Marcus quickly pulled back the curtains to open the view. When told of Leo's appearance, Bill's eyes suddenly brightened as if a flame inside had just been rekindled. In a hoarse whisper, he said he wanted to see Leo one last time. Marcus and Jamal looked at each other, worried but understanding the importance of this wish. They had witnessed the special bond between Bill and Leo over many years and knew this wasn't just the request of a dying man but also the last chance to witness a phenomenon unprecedented in wildlife research history. Marcus and Jamal looked at each other, then made a bold decision they would never have dared consider before: to move Bill's hospital bed outside near the wooden fence bordering the conservation area. This was a risky decision, taking a seriously ill patient outside and close to a wild leopard, but they also understood that sometimes normal rules needed to be broken to create extraordinary moments. They called Dr. Reynolds for his opinion, but were unsurprised to receive opposition. Finally, after much persuasion, the doctor reluctantly agreed on the condition that Nurse Sarah must be present and the time outdoors should not exceed 30 minutes. Additionally, they had to have emergency medication ready in case Bill's condition suddenly worsened. That morning, under the gentle sunlight of South African autumn, two young men carefully wheeled the portable hospital bed out of the wooden cabin. They had connected oxygen tanks and heart monitors to ensure Bill's safety. Nurse Sarah walked alongside, constantly checking vital signs. Bill lay there weak, but his eyes still shining with hope. A thin blanket covered his frail body, and his old cap, a companion throughout his conservation career, was properly placed on his head to shield him from the sun. They positioned the bed near the wooden fence, where Leo still lay on the other side, about 10 m away. The leopard hadn't moved, but his ears had perked up, showing he was aware of their presence. Marcus and Jamal stood nearby, hands ready with pepper spray, a last resort if Leo suddenly attacked. Nurse Sarah rechecked the heart monitor and adjusted the bed angle so Bill could see Leo more clearly. The miraculous moment occurred. As if recognizing his old friend, Leo slowly stood up, stretching in the morning sunlight. The black spots on his golden coat were like stars against the night sky.